Okay, in this video I just wanted to kind of clear up a few things from some previous videos that I did, and there was the video about being able to shoot 100 frames a second using SSD and a V-mount battery, and I'll link to it up in the corner if you haven't seen it. But essentially in a firmware update we were given the option to be able to shoot a few more different recorded modes over SSD whilst we're plugged into V-mount batteries. And I did another video about the Power Junkie V2, saying that it wasn't able to actually offer those modes, and I was actually wrong about that. So basically I wanted to find out the reason why some things could do it and some couldn't. So I ended up spending another 50 odd quid on a different cable just so I could sort of try and work out what was going on with this. And in this video I'm just going to kind of explain it to you. So basically, before I was just using a D-tap cable out to out from my small rig VB99. Worked perfectly fine. I could get 100 frames a second over SSD. But then when with the Power Junkie, I don't have the option for D-tap. I can only use the jacks on there. So I do have a jack dummy battery, this one here, and when I went to use it, that wouldn't work. So then I kind of thought, well, let me try that with a different cable. And now what I've come to realise, this cable here actually only supports 8 volt input. So if I plug it into the small rig or into the Power Junkie, so it wasn't the Power Junkie, it was more the input. So I plug it into there, remove the stock battery from this, put in the dummy battery, switch it on. So it powers on fine, there's no issue with that. Sorry if the focus is a bit skewed. It powers on fine, I can do that, and then when I plug in the SSD, what you'll find is if I go into my Q menu, you can see those options are actually missing, the high frame rates are missing. So it wasn't the Power Junkie specifically, it was the amount of power going into the camera from the Power Junkie. So like I say, I spent another sort of 50 quid on a different cable just to try and work this out. So what I found is I got the Condor Blue 2.1mm jack cable. I've just recently done a video about this. I'll link to it up in the corner if you haven't seen it already. But basically this cable is slightly different. It accepts 12 volt to 17 volt input. So what I can do is, if I can find the other end of it somewhere, there it is. So if I just plug this together, I won't put it through the battery door just to speed things up. So if I plug this into the 8 volt output on here, what you'll find is it just doesn't work. It doesn't power the camera up at all. It's not a possibility on there. So if I switch the camera off, let it power down just for a second, and then what I'll do is I'll drop it into the 12 volt port on this one. Switch the camera on. You can see it's powering up, it's happy with that. It wants the SSD, so we'll plug in the SSD. And then you can see all of our shooting modes are back now, so we've got everything back. So I can do, one of the ones that's missing is things like C4K 100. You can see I can click on that, I can start recording in C4K 100. There's no problems there, it just works. So you can see there that the difference is kind of like the power going into the camera. It couldn't do it through the 8 volts. So then that led me on to thinking, okay, well, if that's the case, why couldn't I work that out before? And the reason is because this jack here, the sort of unbranded one, it can't actually go into the 12 volt port. It just doesn't fit in there, so the inside of it is actually too small to go into the 12 volt. You can probably just about see the pins are actually a different size. The 8 volt pin is a different size to the 12 volt pin, and that's why the 12 volt connector fits in both, but the 8 volt only fits in one. So then that kind of led me back to, well, if that's the case, then surely I should be able to, on the Power Junkie, plug it into the 12 volt, because this one, like I say, does accept 12 volt. Plug it back into the camera, switch it on. Okay, that was a bit of an anticlimax because that didn't work. Sorry, just a second. Let me just double check if the battery actually works in the Power Junkie I've got. Okay, it does look like it has some in there. Plug that back in. Right, okay, there you go. Sorry, I think it wasn't powered on. And then you can see it's saying please wait, it's starting up. Press there, and then you can see all the options are back again. So it is purely a case of, if you power it through through a 12 volt jack, you can get all those recording modes, but if you power it through an 8 volt jack, you're not going to get those modes. So I was sort of wrong in saying that the Power Junkie was incapable of offering that. It was actually that the cable I had was incapable of doing it, and this port is incapable of doing it. So if you run it through the sort of, in short, if you have a capable 12 volt cable like this Condor Blue cable, and you run it through the 12 volt port on, you know, either your V-mount battery or your Power Junkie, then you're going to be able to get all of those modes through SSD in the camera. So the kind of takeaway, really, I would say, is if you're in the market to buy one of these 2.1mm jacks, personally, I would be getting the like a version that supports 12 volts. I'm not saying you have to get this one, but like this one that I bought, like I say, it was just a bit of a no brand one that I just I got it because it's quite hard to find ones that have 2.1mm jacks on, and like I say, the options were kind of limited. But I sort of wish that I'd just gone with this one in the first place, because it would have saved a lot of those headaches. So hopefully, you know, that wasn't too rambly, and it kind of clears up some of the power issues that you could have, you know, across these cameras. And this kind of covers the Panasonic Lumix S5, S5 II, S5 IIX, the GH5S, GH5, GH6, G9, and the G9m2. So it's over quite a lot of cameras. So, you know, hopefully that's actually been useful and helpful. If it has, give the video a like. If you want to see more content like this, then check out the Lumix playlist on this channel, and please subscribe.